Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. This time, we are going to tackle something that I'm sure you guys experience all the time as singers, that frustrating feeling of running out of breath right when you need it most.
Yeah.
And we're diving into an article all about breathing techniques, specifically for singers.
Right.
So get ready to unlock the secrets to a powerful, sustained voice that won't leave you gasping for air. It's kind of funny how we can breathe effortlessly all day long,
Uh-huh.
but like the moment we start singing, it's like we have to relearn this very basic human function.
Yeah, it is really interesting how that works. You're absolutely right. It's almost like singing demands a whole new level of awareness and control over our breath.
Right. And one of the most common pieces of advice I think singers hear is to breathe from the diaphragm. But, if we're being honest, isn't that a bit of a confusing thing? I mean, aren't we always kind of breathing with our diaphragm anyway?
Yeah, it is a bit of a misleading phrase.
Yeah.
It's kind of like saying walk with your legs. You're always using your diaphragm to breathe. It's the main muscle responsible for pulling air into your lungs. The real key for singers is understanding how to engage the diaphragm and the surrounding muscles
Right.
in a way that supports your singing voice.
Okay, so it's not just about the diaphragm itself, but how we use it. So what is the difference between how we breathe normally versus how we should breathe when we sing?
Okay, well, think of it this way. Everyday breathing, what we call tidal breathing, is like a gentle wave just lapping at the shore.
Okay.
It's just the diaphragm doing its thing mostly.
Yeah.
But singing is like riding a powerful wave. You need more force, more control, more stamina. That's where those intercostal muscles come in, the ones nestled between your ribs.
Oh, wait. Intercostal muscles. Those sound pretty important. What do they do exactly?
Imagine your rib cage is like an accordion. When you engage your intercostal muscles during a deep breath, it's like expanding that accordion, creating more space for your lungs to fill with air. So think of these muscles as your singing power source. They give you the control and stamina to hit those high notes without straining.
So it's like having a bigger tank of air to draw from.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. But I imagine engaging these muscles correctly isn't always easy, especially if we're used to shallower breathing or have, poor posture.
You hit the nail on the head. Many singers do struggle to activate those intercostal muscles
Okay.
because of tension, poor posture, or simply not being used to using them consciously.
Okay, so posture plays a role too. I've heard that singers need to stand up super straight,
Hmm.
but wouldn't that create tension?
Yeah, that's a common misconception. It's not about being rigidly straight,
Okay.
but rather about finding proper alignment, ears over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over feet. It's about creating a balanced, relaxed posture
Gotcha.
that allows your diaphragm and intercostal muscles to move freely.
So it's more about finding that natural alignment that allows us to breathe deeply and comfortably. But, let's be honest, changing long-held postural habits isn't always easy.
Mm.
Any tips for retraining our bodies?
Absolutely. Start by becoming more aware of your posture throughout the day. Set reminders to check in with your body
Okay.
and readjust as needed. Over time, you'll start to notice when you're slouching or holding tension and can gently correct yourself.
Right.
It's like anything else. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes.
So good posture, engaged intercostal muscles, it's all starting to come together. But now for like the million-dollar question, how do we control our breath while singing? And I'm particularly intrigued by this idea of maintaining an inhale-like feeling of expansion even as we exhale.
Yeah.
My mind is a little blown by that concept.
Yeah, I know, right? It sounds counterintuitive, but it's
Right.
the key to unlocking breath support and
Right.
preventing that dreaded feeling of running out of air mid-phrase. Our natural instinct is to let everything collapse
Totally.
as we exhale. But for singing, we need to resist that urge.
Resisting that urge to just let go.
Yeah.
That makes sense, especially when you think about holding a long note or singing a powerful phrase. But how do we actually do that? What does it feel like to maintain that expansion?
It's not about clenching or holding your stomach in that creates tension,
Right.
which is the enemy of good singing. It's more about maintaining a sense of outward expansion in your lower rib cage and abdomen.
Okay.
Kind of like you're still gently inflating a balloon even as you're letting some air out. Does that make sense?
That's a great analogy. It's like creating a steady stream of air rather than letting it all whoosh out at once. So this is all about control, isn't it?
Exactly. And the article dives deeper into both the inhale and exhale,
Okay.
breaking down common mistakes and offering tips for improvement. Shall we explore those next?
Let's do it. I'm ready to uncover some of those sneaky breathing habits that might be holding me back.
Okay, so let's get into some of those common breathing mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Think back to the last time you really tried to belt out a note. Did your shoulders, like, creep up towards your ears?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
It's like my body's default response to needing more air, even though I know it's not helping.
Yeah, it's a common instinct, but it's actually counterproductive. When you raise your shoulders, you're engaging the wrong muscles
Right.
and actually limiting your lung capacity. Plus, all that tension in your upper body is going to affect your vocal cords and lead to a strained sound. Remember,
Mm-hmm.
we want to keep things relaxed and open, allowing those intercostal muscles to do the heavy lifting.
Okay, so shoulders down. Got it. But what about those audible gasps for air? I know I've been guilty of that one too, especially when I'm like feeling nervous or trying to sing a really challenging phrase.
Ah, the infamous gasp. Yeah, it might seem like you're getting a lot of air that way,
Right.
but in reality, you're constricting your airway, making it harder to breathe deeply and creating tension.
So it's like we're squeezing the very pipe that we're trying to get air through.
Exactly.
Okay, not a good strategy. And what about feeling lightheaded or tense after taking a breath? Is that a sign of overdoing it?
It could be. Over-inhaling can actually create tension and make your singing less controlled.
Good.
Think of it like pouring water from a pitcher.
Okay.
If it's overflowing, you're more likely to spill when you start pouring. But if it's just the right amount, you have more control and precision.
Okay, so no more gasping, shoulder raising, or overfilling the pitcher. What should a proper inhale feel like for a singer?
Okay, imagine this. You're standing tall but relaxed, your jaw is loose, and your body is at ease. As you breathe in, feel your lower abdomen expanding, like your belly button is gently moving downward and outward, and your rib cage expanding outward on all sides like an inflating balloon. And here's the key. It should be silent. No gasping, no noisy inhalations, just a smooth, quiet intake of air.
That sounds so peaceful and efficient compared to my usual panicked inhales. But now for the real challenge, the exhale. What are some common pitfalls we should watch out for there?
Well, one of the biggest giveaways of incorrect breathing is inconsistency in your sound. Do you ever notice your volume wavering or your pitch going all over the place?
Ugh, yes. It's like my voice has a mind of its own sometimes.
It's so frustrating.
It's so frustrating when I can't maintain like a steady tone.
It all comes back to breath control. If you're not maintaining that inhale-like feeling during the exhale, you're losing support, and your voice will reflect that.
Right.
Another common issue is tension in the throat.
Oh, yeah. I constantly feel like I need to squeeze my throat to hit those high notes.
It's a natural instinct, but it's actually working against you. When you tense up your throat, you're constricting your airway and making it harder for the sound to come out freely. Remember, we want to let the breath do the work, not our throat muscles.
Right. So it's about engaging those lower muscles and letting the throat relax.
Yeah.
And what about tension in like the upper body? Does that play a role in the exhale too?
Absolutely. If you notice your shoulders creeping up or your chest feeling tight as you sing, that's a sign that you're not fully engaging those intercostal muscles.
Okay.
And you're relying on tension to control your sound. It's like trying to drive a car with the parking brake on. You'll get there eventually, but it won't be a smooth or enjoyable ride.
So to recap, for a good exhale, we want to maintain that feeling of expansion in the lower rib cage and abdomen, keep the throat relaxed, and avoid any tension in the upper body. Sounds simple enough in theory, but I have a feeling it's going to take some practice. Luckily, the article provides a series of breathing exercises to help us train those all-important breathing muscles. I'm ready to get those muscles working. Let's dive into those exercises.
All right, let's get practical. The first exercise is designed to release tension, particularly in the throat. It's called the O-shaped mouth.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. Does this involve making silly faces? Because I'm always up for a good laugh, especially if it helps my singing.
You might get a few chuckles from anyone watching, but it's all about relaxing those throat muscles. Simply shape your mouth as if you're about to sip through a giant straw, creating a nice round O shape.
Okay, so I imagine this helps to open up the airway and prevent any squeezing or tension in the throat.
Exactly. And you can use this O shape for both the inhale and the exhale. It's like a gentle reminder to your body to let the air flow freely without any restrictions. Think of it as shocking your system into relaxation.
Okay, I love that. But I'm guessing we won't be performing on stage with this fish face look, right?
Probably not, but it's a fantastic warm-up exercise to release tension and get into the habit of relaxed breathing. The idea is that by exaggerating the open airway, your body starts to learn what it feels like to breathe without constriction. Now let's move on to some exercises that specifically target those deeper, more controlled breaths we need for singing. The article suggests starting with an exercise called bending.
Bending, as in touching my toes. I'm surprisingly flexible for someone who spends so much time hunched over a microphone.
Well, almost. Start by bending at the waist, letting your torso hang loosely towards the floor. The key is to keep your body relaxed and let gravity do its thing. Don't force it.
Okay, so I'm bent over feeling nice and loose. What's next?
Now inhale slowly and pay attention to what you feel. As you breathe in, your torso should naturally move away from your legs.
Oh, I can feel that already. It's like my breath is gently pushing my torso outward.
Exactly. That outward movement is a sign that you're engaging those intercostal muscles and allowing them to do their job.
So it's not about forcing my body outward, but rather letting my breath guide the movement.
Precisely. It's important to let the breath do the work and simply observe the natural expansion of your rib cage. Now, once you've taken a good inhale, try exhaling slowly and consistently while making a hissing sound, like air escaping from a tire. As you exhale, try to keep your torso in the same position. Resist that urge to collapse back toward your legs.
This is harder than it looks. I can definitely feel myself wanting to hunch over as I exhale.
That's totally normal. It takes practice to maintain that expansion even as you release the air.
Right.
But with each repetition, you'll build strength and control in those breathing muscles. You're essentially training your body to resist that natural impulse to collapse and instead maintain a steady stream of air.
Okay,
Ready for the next challenge.
bring it on. I'm feeling empowered by all this breath work.
Right.
What other exercise can help me master this inhale-like exhale concept?
The next one uses a prop you probably have lying around your house. A book. It's called, aptly named, The Book.
Okay, grabbing the nearest book. All right, got it. What do I do with it?
For this exercise, lie on your back with your knees bent and your body relaxed. Place the book on your lower abdomen near your belly button.
Book in place. It feels like a little weight to help me sense the movement.
Exactly. Now take a slow inhale and watch what happens to the book.
Whoa, the book is rising. It's like my breath is lifting it up.
There it is.
Ah.
The magic of those intercostal muscles at work.
Wow.
And again, the key is to ensure you're not arching your back to lift the book.
Okay.
The movement should come solely from your breath expanding your ribcage.
It's such a cool way to visualize what's happening inside. What about the exhale?
Just like with the bending exercise, try to maintain that lift in the book as you exhale slowly and consistently, making that hissing sound.
This is tricky. I can feel the book wanting to drop as I exhale,
Yeah.
but I'm trying my best to keep it up there.
And that's precisely the feeling you want to cultivate. Remember, it's all about resisting that natural collapse and maintaining control over the airflow.
Okay.
You're building those breath support muscles one exhale at a time.
Okay. These first two exercises have been great for getting me to feel those deeper breathing muscles engage. Are there any other techniques we can use to get a sense of our breathing patterns?
Absolutely. The article mentions 2 more exercises, 2 fingers and hands on ribs. These are less about isolating specific muscles and more about giving you feedback on your overall breathing patterns.
I'm all about feedback. Tell me more.
Okay. For 2 fingers, stand in front of a mirror. Always a good idea for practicing breathing tech works. And gently place your middle fingers together, right above your belly button. As you inhale, those fingers should naturally separate.
Ah, I see. It's like a little gauge to measure how much expansion is happening.
Exactly. And then as you exhale, try to keep those fingers separated for as long as possible, maintaining that inhale-like feeling in your abdomen.
It's like a game of keep those fingers apart. Now, what about hands on ribs?
For this one, place your hands on the sides of your rib cage toward the bottom. As you inhale, your hands should move apart as your rib cage expands. Just like with the other exercises, focus on maintaining that expansion as you exhale.
I'm sensing a theme here. It's all about feeling that outward movement and resisting the urge to collapse inward.
You got it. These exercises are all variations on the same theme. Training your body to breathe deeply, consistently, and with control, which are the foundations of good singing.
This is all fantastic advice, but the article emphasizes that we shouldn't try to master everything at once.
Absolutely. It's much better to focus on one aspect at a time. If you're struggling with shoulder tension, for example, just concentrate on keeping your shoulders relaxed and feeling the movement in your lower abdomen and rib cage. Don't worry about the length of your inhale or exhale until you've mastered that first step.
That's such a relief. It's so easy to get overwhelmed when trying to relearn something as fundamental as breathing, but breaking it down into manageable steps makes it feel much less daunting.
Exactly. And the beauty of these exercises is that you can practice them anywhere, anytime.
Right.
You don't need any fancy equipment or a dedicated studio space.
So no excuses for skipping breath work. But how do we transition all this practice into actual singing? How do we make sure all this effort translates into a powerful and controlled voice?
That's where things get really exciting. Are you ready to take your singing to the next level?
I'm more than ready. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've explored all these awesome breathing exercises, and we've learned how to engage those powerhouse intercostal muscles. But how do we actually apply all this to singing? Like, I'm ready to put these techniques to work and make my voice just soar.
All right. Well, the article emphasizes that we should try to make deep breathing a habit, like throughout the day. The more you practice, the more natural it's going to become when you're actually singing. You're basically building muscle memory for your breath.
That makes a lot of sense. What about, though, those times in a song where you barely have a moment to, like, catch your breath before launching into the next phrase? Any tips for, like, those super quick inhales?
Yeah, absolutely. The article suggests revisiting that O-shaped mouth we talked about earlier. That's going to help maximize your airflow in a short amount of time. They also recommend a pattern of progressively shorter inhales followed by a long, controlled exhale. So you might start by inhaling for a count of 4, then exhale for 20, then inhale for 3, exhale for 20, and so on. This trains your body to take in air quickly and efficiently without resorting to those panicked gasps.
So it's like interval training for your breath. I love it. Okay, so we've got the quick inhale down, but what about actually singing on the exhale? How do we make sure all this breath work is translating into a smooth and consistent sound?
That's where the real magic happens. The article suggests starting with hissing on the exhale. Remember that long, controlled hiss we practiced in those earlier exercises?
hmm
Once you get comfortable with that, you can start adding sound.
Okay, hissing like a snake. Got it.
Sure.
What kind of sounds should we start with?
They recommend starting with a VVV sound on a comfortable pitch.
Okay.
It's similar to that hissing sound, so it helps maintain that relaxed, open feeling in the throat.
Yeah.
So, if you notice any tension creeping in as you add sound, just remember to relax your jaw, keep your tongue resting gently behind your lower teeth, and kind of think of the sound as hitching a ride on the breath rather than forcing it out.
I love that. It's like the breath is the vehicle and the sound is just along for the ride.
Exactly. And once you're comfortable with the VVV sound, you can move on to singing ooh vowels followed by other vowels, always paying attention to maintaining a consistent volume and pitch. The article points out that the ooh vowel can actually help to create a longer, more relaxed exhale because of the shape it creates in your mouth.
Wow. It's like a whole new way of thinking about vowels and how they can affect breath control.
It really is. And the ultimate goal is to be able to sing a simple 5-tone scale on an ah vowel, maintaining that down and out expansion and a consistent volume throughout.
Wow. This has been an incredible deep dive. We debunked the myth of breathing from the diaphragm. Turns out we're always doing that. We explored the crucial role of those intercostal muscles and learned how to engage them through like those targeted exercises. And we discovered how to maintain that inhale-like feeling on the exhale, the secret to a smooth and supported singing voice.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey into the mechanics of breath, and I really hope it's empowered you to take control of your singing in a whole new way.
Me too. But before we go, I want to leave everyone with a final thought-provoking question. We've talked about how these techniques can improve your singing, but what about the impact on your overall well-being? Could focusing on deep, controlled breathing have benefits that extend, like beyond the stage? Maybe you'll feel more grounded, more centered, more energized. The answers might surprise you. So keep experimenting, keep exploring, and keep singing your heart out.